Pastor Weston here with Grace Point Community Church. I want to thank you for joining me again for our devotional, Peace Not Panic, backed by popular demand. We're going to be having these every Tuesday and Thursday moving forward through the pandemic. And I want to encourage you, if you're feeling panicked right now or worried about COVID-19 and any of the complications or difficulties that have become up because of what's going on, you aren't alone. I want to be here for you. Our church is here for you. You can find contact information for me and our church on our Facebook page or our website, gracepoint.ca. So one of the big changes with the pandemic and the isolation that comes with it has been that a lot more people are cooking at home. And in particular, I've noticed an increase in the amount of baking that people are doing. Flour is one of the staples that stores are prioritizing as more people spend time in the kitchen. Here in Medicine Hat, there's even been a shortage of yeast. Now, for those of us who don't do a lot of baking, yeast is one tool to make bread light and fluffy. It's also called leaven. It just takes a little bit of yeast or leaven to work through an entire loaf of bread. And a good yeast is the difference between baking a hockey puck and a deliciously soft loaf of bread. Our reading today comes from 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verses 6 through 8. Paul's writing to the Corinthians. He says, "Your boasting is not good. Do you not know that a little leaven leavens the whole lump? Cleanse out the old leaven, that you may be a new lump, as you really are unleavened. For Christ, our Passover lamb, has been sacrificed. Let us therefore celebrate the festival, not with the old leaven, the leaven of malice and evil, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth." Wow. This Sunday, Clinton's going to be continuing with a discussion of the importance of Passover if we really want to understand who Jesus is. Passover is a celebration that looks back at a time when God's people were in crisis. They found peace and protection through the sacrifice of a perfect lamb. And here Paul is reminding the Corinthians that we can have peace through Jesus, who is the perfect Passover lamb. So one of the important traditions with Passover was in removing all the leaven or yeast from the house. Now, the Israelites didn't have access to the granulated, activated yeast and freezers and refrigerators and all those modern conveniences that we have today. And so removing the yeast annually meant that they didn't end up working with old yeast which had gone bad. And bad yeast is something that can work through a loaf of bread. Even while it's causing it to be light and fluffy, it can poison the loaf, make it bad bread in a whole different way. Jesus' sacrifice means that we have a new life in him, but it can be tempting in the same way to hold on to habits and practices of our life before Jesus. Sometimes even the new habits that we've developed as Christians can pull us away from a life focused on Jesus. It can be something that's obvious, like falling back into a lifestyle of sin that's set against God's purpose for our lives, sexual immorality, dishonesty, selfishness. It can be subtle, though, too. Our desire for righteousness can become more of a sense of obligation rather than a sense of joy. Our disciplines as disciples can become busyness instead of connection with God. So as we look forward to spring, and a lot of us have extra time for personal reflection, I want to ask you, are you ready for Passover? Are you ready to remove the old yeast, the old leaven from your life so that you're prepared for the new blessings that God has for you in the next season? If you're looking for help in starting new healthy habits during the pandemic, or if you're looking for peace in a time of chaos and an uncertain future, I want you to know that you can find answers in a relationship with Jesus. I'd love to help you to see what that might look like in your particular situation. Give me a call or message me here in the comments. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Our next devotional is going to be Thursday, and I also want to encourage you, don't miss our conclusion to the two-part series on the significance of Passover this Sunday at 2 p.m. On Facebook or our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me. God bless.